The spectacle we witnessed in the Stockholm Jewish cemetery was unusual, to say the least. A family come to bury their mother's ashes. The mother was a Christian, her husband was Jewish, and lies buried here in the Jewish cemetery. Before her death, the mother asked to be interred next to her late husband.
Guds frid som övergår allt förstånd, bevare din själ. Amen. Låt oss alla gå i Herrens frid.
The ceremony is Christian in character, but the clergyman and the family keep their heads covered out of respect for the sanctity of the site. "30 years ago, the liberal and assimilative Stockholm Jewish community was not expected to last long. By now, people predicted then, there would be nothing left of it but tombstones. Today, however, not only has the community survived, it is very much alive and well. On this, our Stockholm journey, we tried to understand this phenomenon. Our first port of call was at the office of the community's liberal rabbi, Martin Nero. It was he who, as a rabbi, authorized this strange burial service taking place today.
Because the spirit of the time, and I think that Israel has a lot to do with this, the pride of being Jewish, the desire to belong to a dynamic minority, means that the children are raised Jewishly. The non-Jewish partner very often will assist the Jewish partner to live a Jewish life. And it seems to us that despite the ancient halakha, which excludes the non-Jew from the cemetery, that these people who were together in their lifetimes should be able to lie together after death.
In the center of Stockholm, the synagogue and the community's adjacent offices are under the protection of the Swedish police. Sweden's Jewish community is unlike any other in the world. It carries on a tradition originating in Germany and virtually destroyed during World War II. The congregation's founding fathers arrived in Sweden from Germany more than 300 years ago. In 1870, they built themselves this magnificent synagogue. 7,000 out of 14,000 Swedish Jews live today in Stockholm. 80% of these belong to the liberal congregation. Half of them have entered into mixed marriages. Generally, the marriage partner who adopts the Jewish faith tends to cling to it more than does the Jewish spouse. This is a liberal congregation, similar in many ways to conservative Jewry. But in the synagogue there is a choir accompanied by an organ. Nevertheless, the women are seated in a separate gallery. What binds them to Jewry? How is it that in Stockholm we are witness to a phenomenon which is the opposite of what is happening to the Jews in most parts of the world? Is it something to do with the special Nordic character of the Swedes? We are taken out to explore the city by our tour guide, Eva.
אתה יודע אולי שלסטוקהולם קוראים לה ונציה בצפון, וזאת עיר שהיא בנויה, אפשר להגיד, על המים, כי היא בנויה על איים. אתה יכול להסתכל כאן ולראות איים. זאת עיר שהיא בנויה על 14 איים, והיא נמצאת בדיוק איפה שהים פוגש את האגם. אתה תתרחק רק קצת בסירה או ספינה, ותוכל לבחור בין 25,000 איים. וזה רק בסביבה של סטוקהולם. אנחנו עומדים עכשיו בעיר העתיקה של סטוקהולם. זה היה האי הראשון שגרו בו. בשנת 1952 חגגנו את יום הולדתה ה-700 של העיר הזאת. לפני בערך 800 שנה, איפה שארמון המלך היום היה מבצר, ובנו את המבצר הזה כדי להגן על הכניסה לאגם. ובאותם הימים המלך היה מלך נודד, אבל כשהוא היה בא למה שהיום סטוקהולם, בדרך כלל הוא גר איפה שהמבצר, ככה שלאט לאט התפתח מה שהיום ארמון המלך. בסוף מאה ה-18 למלך השוודי קראו לו גוסטב השלישי. הוא החליט להזמין יהודי לבוא לשוודיה, וחשב שאולי כדאי שיהודים גם יבואו לשוודיה לפתח כאן את המסחר. קראו ליהודי הזה אהרון איזק, והוא הגיע מגרמניה. ואהרון איזק הסביר למלך שלא אכפת לו לבוא לשוודיה, להתיישב כאן, אבל הוא רוצה לחיות כיהודי. והוא גם הסביר למלך שתנאי אחד שהוא יוכל לחיות כיהודי, שיבואו לפחות עוד 9 יהודים לשוודיה.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם בורא פרי הגפן.
Sabbath Eve at the Hillel Jewish School.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו והצוונו ושבת קודשו באורה ורצון הנחלתנו וקרון אשר בראשית כי הוא יום תירחי ירק ימי קודש שכל יציאת מצרים.
Hillel is a day school in which almost all of Stockholm's Jewish children are pupils. 80% of its running costs are financed by the Swedish government, part of a policy which recognizes the rights of minority groups to preserve their cultures and traditions. The school was not established without considerable controversy. Many of Sweden's Jews were against the idea, claiming that it was a mistake to try to create a Stockholm ghetto, and that the Jewish children should be scattered amongst the children of the Gentiles. Objections were overcome once it was decided that the school should serve as an educational experiment. It is a school with a fine reputation, and the number of its pupils is growing year by year. Teaching this class is Eva, wife of the Orthodox Rabbi Aaron Katz. He also draws his salary from the congregation, and his office is next to that of his liberal counterpart.
98% מהאוכלוסייה, ילדים, מקבלים חינוך יהודי. זה דבר גדול, וזה אין באירופה. זאת אומרת, דווקא באירופה התמונה יורדת, התמונה היא ההפך, ופה זה בצורה לגמרי הפוכה, פה זה עולה. אין מקום בבית הספר היהודי, מחפשים בניין. אז אני לא חושב שזה ייגמר, אני לא חושב. אלא אם כן המשיח בא מחר, אז כולם נוסעים לארץ. עד שהמשיח יבוא, בינתיים ממשיכים.
En ordentlig dörr? Nej, i den lilla fronten försöker man klämma in tripp, trapp, trull, 3 dörrar till minnet av templets 3 dörrar. Ja. Sen kom man in i...
Every day, there are lots of Christian visitors to the Jewish synagogue. They come from Sweden's provinces in order to see and try to understand this strange thing called Judaism.
Aj, aj, aj. Vad är nu det? Som bekant
The synagogue's chief cantor, Leo Rosenblit, explains to the curious the difference between Judaism and other religions. There are many who are impressed, who wish to convert. Why should a Swedish Christian be drawn to the Jewish faith? Do they find in it a warmth missing elsewhere? Are they attracted by the relative stability of Jewish family life as opposed to their own?
Ständigt måste fyllas med ny lysolja.
Does it come as a result of visiting Israel, discovering what it is to live on a kibbutz? Whatever the reasons, there are many Swedes anxious to convert. What does this mean? We asked Rabbi Martin Nero.
As I see it, there is a crisis in Christianity, and it can be solved in one of two ways. There's a return to the roots of Christianity, and then they need us to help explain where the Jewishness comes and where it begins, and where the Greek aspect of the early time of Christianity, the pagan from the outside, comes in, and then they have to see this mixture and see how they can separate it so that the Jewish part becomes greater. Paul was not the only interpreter of Christianity. There were other aspects of Christianity. Now they want to get to the Jewish roots. Those people who are religious and have given up on this search are now looking in other ways. Some of them, I would say the majority, have found this in Catholicism. The beautiful church around the corner is getting many, many converts. The Swedish believers who are looking for their roots in Christianity are turning to Catholicism. יש התעניינות בדת. אינני רוצה לקרוא את זה לבעלי תשובה, אבל רואים שהכסף והחיים של משחקים וכולו לא מספיקים. רוצים יותר בחיים.
אם את אומרת זה טוב לך, אישית. Privat, nej, till dig själv, precis.
It has been agreed amongst the congregation that conversion should be in the hands of the Orthodox rabbi, Aaron Katz.
Exempel? כדוגמה?
att hålla kosher.
כשרות,
Kashrut. Och shabbat.
שבת.
Och taharat המשפחה. lite så.
כן. נגיד מ-100%, אז 50% עוזבים באמצע. ודרך 50% אולי 10% בסוף מתגיירים.
ואלה שמתגיירים הם יהודים למהדרין?
לפי מה שיש לנו, מה5 שנים שאני פה, אז מ10% האלה, אז יותר מחצי עלו לארץ. והנשאר הוא חיים יהודים.
The Swedish Ministry of Education permits and finances 2 lessons a week for any and every high school student wishing to study his native tongue. Jewish children study Hebrew and the scriptures. Some of the pupils are children of mixed marriages.
Elohayich Elohai. Och sen sa hon Amech Ami. So that your people are my people. Your God, my God. Vilket betyder att de två begreppen måste hålla ihop. Någon antropolog har talat om att det här betyder att judendomen är en stamreligion. A religion that is also a people.
Rabbi Nero is teaching from the book of Ruth. He explains that those who join the faith of Israel join also the people of Israel.
Femte Moseboken kapitel 20. Och du har läst. Det är jättefint. Mycket bra. 12 mål. 100%. Ma katuv.
Amradam födde Nachson födde Salma, Salmon födde Boas, Boas födde Obed födde Isai och Isai födde David.
King David was a descendant of Ruth the Moabite. Will they find this encouraging?
David Hamelech, ja? Det kommer att bli den som skriver Psalter och den som skriver en hel del andra saker. Now, vad sa Jonas på ivrit?
שרות היא לא יהודייה.
היא לא יהודייה, זאת אומרת?
שיש להם בעיות.
יש להם בעיות, אוקיי.
In all of Stockholm, there is only one kosher food store. It serves no more than 200 Jewish families. Properly prepared kosher meat is the most expensive on the market. Perhaps this is why many Jews prefer to shop elsewhere.
Het probleem is, men kan niet zeggen de Heer is weet. Hoe zal die schat? Weet je, הממשלה אומר שצער בעלי חיים.
צער בעלי חיים ואסור לשחוט.
מה עושה לשחוט?
אז מה עושים?
מה עושים כאן? זה לא פרובלם של הממשלה, זה פרובלם שלנו. פרובלם. וזה לא זוג נעשה. Svenska kvosa regering, man verkat burgerlige regering för borgerskap. Mit Zeit dem gekommen dem gemacht Heskem, als hij bezoen zurück. Doch die was mir die Lomni schechten du. Mir kauft mir Fleisch für in Dänemark in die Mass, was man braucht zu bezoen, da bezoen du zurück.
אבל הבשר פה יקר בשביל זה.
Ja, בשביל זה, כן. ואחר כך באה לבורגליga verloren waren, gekomen Sozialdemokraten, הם לא רוצים. לשם, zurückbezogen dem Mass. Sie will nicht. בכלל, הסוציאל-דמוקרטי אנטי-דתי. בכלל.
Sweden is, always has been, a neutral country. Because of this special status, as well as her close proximity to the Soviet Union, Sweden's parliament has been the scene for many struggles for the freedom of the Jews of Russia. Today, Parliament is hosting a seminar on anti-Semitism behind the Iron Curtain. The participants are members of Parliament from Scandinavian countries. Many Swedes still feel uneasy about their nation's neutrality during World War II, and hence are unwilling to remain passive as anti-Semitism once again rears its ugly head. Per Ahlmark was once Sweden's deputy premier here. He abandoned politics for poetry.
Anti-Semitism always starts with the Jews, but it never ends with the Jews. Anti-Semitism is always the beginning of the destruction of democratic values and institutions. It's to invite disaster, that is to accept anti-Semitism. Therefore, always fight it from the beginning in order to make it as little as possible.
And you think the Jewish community here are not aware enough of the dangerous and they are not strong enough to fight against it?
Yes, they are fighting and they are conscious about the dangers. Of course they are. But I would like them to fight still more and to show the flag and to prove to the Swedish people that we are proud of being Jews. We are proud of being friends of Israel.
Sweden's National Theatre presents Kiphart's play Brother Eichmann.
Där ser ni. Det är väl en helt annan sak. Vem avgör det?
Its subject is the Eichmann trial in Jerusalem. Its message, the devil was created in our own image. The play's director, Erland Josefsson, is well known from his appearances in the films of Ingmar Bergman. His father was once chairman of the Jewish congregation. The Israeli police officer is played by Pale Grednitsky, also a Jewish actor. After the show, we meet Pale Grednitsky backstage.
The main idea by staging this play is to remind people of what Eichmann was, of what he did, and to remind people of the danger in letting things go on and do nothing about them, things which lead to fascism. Today we know more about it and we ought to be aware of every tendency to fascism.
We began our Swedish journey in the spring, but spring was a little late that year. Eventually, the sun emerged after a long, hard winter. But the northern light is deceptive. Sunset shifts every week by at least half an hour. Summer nights can seem endless, winter days so short. Outside, the choir is singing Christian liturgy. Here, inside a gallery in the center of town, Hannah Bankir's pictures are on display. Hannah Bankir was born in Sweden to Jewish parents, refugees from Poland who fled northwards. When she grew up, she showed no interest in Judaism and joined the communist movement with the aim of reshaping the world. She went as far afield as China.
I had to go away even further from Judaism and from Israel, which was very, very emotionally, intellectually it was quite easy, you know. But emotionally it was a catastrophe. And I couldn't go through with it, so I had to leave the movement, actually, after a few years. So in the beginning of 70s, I was out and had to manage myself. And then I started very seriously to paint. And then I realized I had roots. I deal very much with the human face, with my own face in one sense, but in a very, very basic sense, saying man, you man, I, nose, mouth. As I feel the base of Judaism is the acknowledgement of the individual, of man as such, and man having a very personal relationship toward God.
יש ביהדות פילוסופיה וקבלה, ובדרך כלל היהודים שחיים את היהדות לא שמים לב לדברים האלו, אבל אלו שהתרחקו ומסתכלים מבחוץ ורואים לא רק את ה-behaviorism, איך שכל אדם מתפילין ואכילת כשר וכו', זה חשוב, אבל רואים על מה עומד כל הטקס הזה, מה מאחרי את העומק שיש ביהדות, והם שעומדים מבחוץ רואים, ואנחנו שבפנים אנחנו לא רואים את היער, רק את העצים.
Artist Peter Freudenthal's story is even stranger. His mother was a Gentile, his father a Jew, who lived in Israel for several years and was a conductor of the Israel Broadcasting Orchestra. Later, the family left Israel for Stockholm, where Peter grew up and was educated as a Gentile. Today, he's a famous artist, and all his paintings have but one theme in common: Judaism.
But I had that inside all the time, looking for something, some spirituality, which I didn't find in communism. And I met my wife in 1962, and we moved in with each other quite fast. And I started going to shul in the mornings, and she would ask me, "Where are you going?" "Well, I'm going for a walk." Well, she soon found out, and she said, "I want a part of it too." She's not Jewish, but we started to go together, and I really had a lot of nachas from the Jewish stuff, which I've been dealing with since then.
The Passover Seder, the temple, Jacob's ladder, tradition.
There's a square here, black square with a lot of bright colors around. This big part of the painting here has exactly the same colors as this square. It could actually be a part of the same square. We just only see a small part of it. It's enormous. And we can't grasp everything. If we would grasp everything, I don't think we would be around any longer. And then we didn't have anything to look for. And Moshiach would be without work. And that's we have a diaspora too. And I think it's very essential that there are Jews in the diaspora. If everybody would go to Israel, what would Moshiach do when he comes finally? Has no work, couldn't bring us there.
From Peter Freudenthal's studio, we make our way to the editorial desk of Stockholm's Jewish newspaper to meet with its editor, Jaki Jagobowski. He came to Stockholm from Poland. His family went further to Israel. Jaki remained behind.
Det är en fråga som egentligen judarna under hela sin historia ställt till sig själva och till andra judar. Och det är klart, så länge Israel inte fanns före 1948 så kunde man liksom sammanfatta hela den här frågan med några ord. Nästa år i Jerusalem, Beshana Haba Berushalayim. Men och då har man alltså kunnat ställa den här frågan utan att någon har förväntat sig ett konkret svar. Det vill säga, okej, jag flyttar till Israel nästa år. Men nu efter 48, när vi har fått en egen judisk stat, så ställs den frågan återigen. Men vi är fortfarande inte, alla judarna i hela världen, diaspora-judarna, är inte, så att säga, de är inte mogna att besvara den här frågan med en handling. Därför att vi har levt i diasporan under 2000 år och under en så lång period. Vi har utvecklat en egen kultur. Vi har en lång historia och en rik kultur som är förknippad med diasporatiden. Och att idag, efter 2000 år av diasporatiden, besvara den här frågan med en konkret handling, det vill säga att flytta till Israel, är inte alltid lätt. Därför att det som gör oss till judar, som har gjort oss till judar, är framförallt diasporatiden.
The closing line of Sweden's national anthem reads, "Yes, I wish to live and die in the north." And what of Jerusalem? Our Stockholm journey coincided with the feast of Lag BaOmer during the counting of the sheaves. The congregation had organized a river trip to the forest surrounding the king's castle in Drottningholm. There are three active Jewish youth movements in Stockholm: Bnei Akiva, Habonim, and Maccabi. So most of Stockholm's youngsters visit Israel. Many of them stay. And it is this immigration of the youngsters to Israel which is thinning out the ranks of a possible Jewish leadership in the future. Here, by the waters of the palace of a king, on a Jewish holy day, they sit and remember Zion. A modern-day version of the waters of Babylon, if you wish. Only a few months ago, there was a national competition here in Sweden for songs of longing for the land of Israel. First prize was awarded to Katarina Helgendahl.
Jag längtar bort dit jag inte får gå. Ett land i fjärran jag inte kan nå. Dit ska ett skepp utav tårar mig föra. Och kanske där då mig Guden vill höra. Från ett förflutet i förnedring och skam.
accompanists were David Grednitsky, son of the actor Palle Grednitsky, on the drums, Bjorn Salomonen, psychiatrist, bass guitar, Thomas Bohm, psychiatrist, synthesizer, John Eriksson, psychiatrist, guitar. The group offers us a sign-off for this program, which they themselves composed. It's called Here and There at One and the Same Time. It's a mixture of Swedish and Jewish melodies. It's not an easy mixture, but, they tell us, as psychiatrists, we have to learn to be schizophrenic. We have to learn to live in two worlds.